Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm proud to bring you all things paranormal with
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Dale Roberts. Hello,
Okay.
Dale Roberts.
All right. All right. Thank you, Hercules. Yeah, we got a great panel tonight. Um, I almost didn't make this show because I had to get a new modem for my computer. The
Ooh,
Comcast has shut everything off. I got this new modem. Luckily, my wife fixed it up and got it going. But then I was on Comcast for like forever just to get a signal for this thing to work. So I'm going, oh my God, I'm not going to make it for the show. But here I am. I made it. So
Glad you're able to get that to work.
Thank you, Comcast. Thank you for Xfinity. All right, a little plug there. Um, before I introduce our guest, I'm going to go ahead and have everybody go ahead and introduce themselves, say their name, little bio, so that way Soo McClure will know who we are. So we'll start off with Hercules.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm Hercules Invictus. I am a podcaster. I am an author. I am a psychic investigator. And I'm a lover of all things Greek and mythological, from the dawn of time and the ancient aliens to what's going on today.
Fantastic. Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm a paranormal investigator.
Okay. Tim?
well, hi, I'm Tim Swartz. Always happy to be with everyone on fantastic shows like this. I am a writer, researcher on all things weird and wonderful.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tim. Steve?
Uh, I, uh, my name is Steve Ward. I live in Point Pleasant, West by God, Virginia. I work part-time at the Mothman Museum. I co-authored a book called Mothman High Strangeness with Mark Randall, who is a great graphic artist. He and I wrote the pieces. I have a podcast called The High Strangeness Factor on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. And I think that's pretty good right there.
Thank you very much, Steve. And we have Michael.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I am Michael Kopf. I am a paranormal investigator with a metaphysical background. I'm also a podcaster, author, and into all things unexplained. And so happy to be here, and I will leave it with that.
Fantastic. Thank you. And our guest tonight is Soo McClure. And Sue has a very interesting life. She had a lot of paranormal experiences, and we're going to go over that. She does something with what is called shadow work, and we'll find out what that's all about. I believe she's a psychic medium and a Reiki master. Am I correct about that, Sue?
No, not a Reiki master, but I do have a psychic medium, which is one of the things that I do. I'm actually a meditation specialist. I'm out here in St. Louis, Missouri. I've been doing this for about 10-ish years. So I've been practicing both anywhere from, the paranormal stuff to the psychic stuff. It depends on a given day and when my services are needed. I've had paranormal things happen to me all my life. I didn't understand what they were in my younger years, but as I grew up, I just learned what they were.
And I just want to say one thing to the panel. At any time you want to make a comment or you want to interject with something or you have a question for our guest, please jump right in. Don't hesitate. Um, so you have a very interesting beginning, and I want to talk about that. Um, can you tell us where you were born and raised and some of the situations that you experienced?
Yes, I was born in South Korea, and I don't know my parents whatsoever. I was found at a police station under a bench by a janitor, and I was in a basket, and they found the umbilical cord still attached to me, and when they took me into medical, they actually determined and guessed roughly what my birth date is uh, by the decay of the umbilical cord that was still attached to me. So I do not know who my parents were. I don't know exactly what like part of Korea. It's just I was found at a police station in South Korea. But I ended up in Mr. Kim's orphanage, which everybody named Kim. So that was my first last name, Kim Yun Soo. So when I eventually got adopted by an American couple, and they retained some documents and information about my care, which it would be translated into English, and talked about like my weight and my height and my progression. They talked about how I was actually found with infections all over my body, and he suspected my birth mother had pneumonia when she was carrying me. So was the reason why my visual and hearing, I'm actually deaf blind. I have no hearing in my right ear and only 20% in my left, and that's with the hearing aid. I have LP on my left side, and my right eye is a complete pinhole. It's all dark except for a pinhole, which is a 700 vision range. So yeah, I use a white cane and everything. Um, so eventually, when I got adopted by an American couple, both military, I slowly tried to learn English. It was really, really hard because I couldn't understand and hear words. I had a little bit of Korean already, and it was an interesting upbringing. I remember a lot of stuff happening to me, and I came to America about 2 years old. And I remember um, seeing a set of people that I've never met, and I was a little frightened. I remember being frightened. I was like, I don't know who you guys are, And I was in a strange house, and the food was different. And I couldn't understand what they were saying for a while. They tried to teach me English. They tried to bridge between English and Korean. And I remember because of my hearing problems, I got a lot of words wrong for years until I was old enough to wear hearing aids. I think I started wearing hearing aids probably about 4 years old, and then I got glasses next. I was born with cataracts. So back in the 70s, how they dealt with cataracts is they actually just take all the lenses out. This was before laser surgery. Um, but I remember at 4 years old is when I first had sort of a paranormal experience, but back then I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was normal like everybody else was experiencing it until I told my mother about it. I would wake up feeling the ceiling on my back, not my bed. And because the lights were off, I couldn't really tell, but I could tell it was the ceiling because we had the rough ceiling, and it was a plaster type. And I thought that was really weird, and I remember falling back asleep, and then I would find myself back in my bed. And as I got older, I started seeing things in my third eye, kind of like I could see things in the dark, whether it's like sparkles, if you will. I could see, back then I didn't know it was a third eye thing. I just remember being able to see stuff in the dark, like glitter, sparkles. I could see shapes. I could see just people sometimes, just images. Opposite of a silhouette, it was more like kind of um, a white image and stuff. And so I didn't know what it was, and I told my parents about it, and they just said you were probably just dreaming. So I remember I remember seeing sort of, I guess they were people around my room when I was younger as well. I saw things run across my bed, and I would just experience stuff like that throughout my whole life. I had variations of that, and it came to the point where I could do the outer body, where I actually found myself floating throughout the house and then into people's porch lights. So I remember I remember the lights in the hallway would go on and off on its own. Um, it was just bizarre for me. And throughout my whole life, I was told all kinds of push away answers. So it's your imagination, maybe it's a coincidence, stuff like that. So yeah, there was a lot going on when I was a kid, and I didn't fit in. I did not fit into any school that I went to. I was literally the oddball. I couldn't relate. It was almost like I was put on this planet and I couldn't easily relate to people. I didn't know why. Um, and I remember throughout my life, I did a lot of stuff to survive because my parents originally they adopted me was because they thought they couldn't have children, but eventually they did. They were able to have a daughter, and I don't know, it was kind of like to their dismay, they kind of wanted to take me back, or they had the attitude like they wanted a refund or something. They didn't treat me very well after she was born, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought, more the merrier kind of thing. I didn't understand why. Um, my whole life was a series of abuse after that. I didn't know what to do with it. I cried a lot. Um, eventually, when I grew up, my dad had a philosophy that when you're 18, you leave the house. So he would talk about how he was in the military when he was 18 and he left the house. The only difference is he threw me out. I was on the street. I couldn't hear well and I couldn't see well, and I was literally out on the street with the clothes on my back and 75 cents in my pocket. And I did everything I could to stay out of trouble because I just didn't want to be that kind of person. And I was constantly offered to do drugs. I was constantly offered to do prostitution, and I just didn't want to get into it. I still had um, my faith with God. I still had, my Christianity. And that was all I had at the time to keep me surviving. And eventually, I found a shelter that I qualified for. A lot of the shelters here in St. Louis, really not built for somebody that's single. Most of them were like battered women with children and stuff like that. Um, at the time, there really weren't very many shelters or space. So I finally found one. You can look it up. It was called the Shalom. And I stayed there for about probably a little over 30 days before I was able to get myself on different programs that I've never heard of, um, and different Social Security programs and disability programs, and get me my very first apartment. So I kind of forgot about the paranormal side of life for a while until the apartment that I lived in was a kind of an old building, and it was for seniors and disabled. So a lot of people have died there. And so then the stuff started happening again, like lights flickering when I walk around the area. Um, things would just, at the corner of my eye, move. I just, I was like, oh, no, not again. What do I do with this, And I didn't have anybody to call upon. I didn't have anybody to talk to. But I kind of got into movies that I wasn't allowed to watch when I was living with my parents. So I got into like the Ghostbusters movie. I got into like the sci-fi stuff, Star Trek, the Star Wars, and all of that. I was literally playing catch up, and I was having fun with it. It was great. My parents did let me watch some Star Wars and Star Trek, but not much. It was the old stuff. But I really got into all the newer stuff when I lived on my own, and it was there was a lot going on those years. I dealt with the things that I couldn't understand in people. I could start seeing shapes around people, and I didn't know what they were. Now I know that it's auras, and I can see auras around people. And I saw stuff, but I didn't know what they were. And finally, there was a lady that was from China, and she was learning English, and I would describe these things to her, and she taught me what she was. She taught me auras. She taught me the chakras. She taught me just all kinds of those things that were more on the spiritual side of the line. and I wanted to slowly kind of work my way towards there, but I still went to church. I still read the Bible, but the more I got into it, the more stuff was starting to align differently. And it wasn't that the Bible was wrong or anything, it was more of that the Bible looked at things differently than the stuff that made more sense was more of the spiritual stuff about how energy works in this world. And so I wanted to get into that, and that would eventually branch on to understanding the paranormal side of things. I learned about veils, I learned about dimensions, I learned about different types of densities, and I learned about alternate universe and parallel universe. Somebody introduced me to the TV show Sliders to help me understand that. So I had a lot of catching up to do, but I was great that I actually got into that because it helped me start to understand what was actually going on with Earth. Because for a long time I didn't understand. I literally felt completely out of place, and so many things were going on around me, and I didn't know what to do with it.
Sue, I just got to make one little comment real quick. You were saying that when you turned 18, your dad was trying to convince you to go into the military.
No, he said that he went to the military when he was 18, and so he was justifying the fact of me being out at 18.
Oh, okay, okay. And my dad, okay, he's a vet. When I turned 18, he actually marched me down to the recruiter's office and had me, yeah, there's no lie, and talk to the recruiter. And I was like kind of iffy about the military thing because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go to war, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And plus, my brother was a Vietnam vet, and I saw all the stuff he had to go through. He had that Agent Orange and all that other stuff, and malaria. He had malaria. Um, but then I talked to a recruiter, and he was talking about being an MP, military policeman. And I said, I kind of like that. And then he was talking about sending me over to Germany. I go, hey, I really do like that. And before I knew it, I was signing on the dotted line. But anyway.
with great enthusiasm, right?
Yeah. Yep. But anyway, before we go on, does anybody want to say anything, Sue, or ask any questions? Or
I am curious, Sue, about the out of body. Was that something that lasted a while, or did it kind of dissipate, or is that something you can still do now?
It's actually stopped for a while because I was being abused. I was in a very abusive situation with my dad. He was very volatile, narcissism. Back then, I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe everybody's dad was kind of like that until I met other parents. But it stopped, and then it picked up again later on, just out of the blue. I don't know why. I was able to do it probably all the way from 15 to about 18 when I moved out. And then it stopped again. And once in a blue moon, I can still do it. I don't know how to control it yet.
How far can you go with that astral projection?
Yeah, I find myself just floating outside my house or out into people's streetlights. I'm like a moth to a flame. I would just float along the city and stuff like that. I'd go all kinds of places. And then I would just, I don't know, just in a blink of an eye, I would just find myself back in my bed waking up in the morning. I saw an eye one time when I woke up, probably a couple years ago, and I thought maybe that was like an angel or something, because the angels usually have multiple eyes around them. And I thought it was weird that I found an eye on my wall when I opened my eyes first thing in the morning, and I looked at my wall, just happened to look at my wall, and there was a one round eyeball on my wall, and it closed and disappeared right when I looked at it.
I've always thought that I wanted to be able to do that, so I could go places and sort of. I've got a cat attacking me here, and sort of like a remote viewing kind of thing, where I could go places and seek out things, find out things.
I can teach you how to do that sometime if you want me to. That's one of the things I can teach people. You
Hey,
actually
so
can learn how to remote view.
when you go out of your body in this astral projection, do you hear like a crackling noise on your body before you jump out of it?
No, I don't. I
Oh,
actually just find myself 1 minute laying in my bed falling asleep, and then the next minute I find myself somewhere else in my house floating towards the ceiling. And then I could
well,
just find myself flying.
I think that I almost astral projected because I was laying in my bunk over at Camp Bogard, and my whole body started crackling. You can hear it, and I lifted up. I could see my body, and but I totally freaked out and went right back into my body, and I never was able to do it again.
That's
Your freak out is understandable.
everybody does it differently. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some techniques that you can do. I know in the past, the easiest way for people to get into it was through working with dreams group. If you get a good dreams group together and you start sharing dreams, eventually you start noticing commonalities in your dream or common themes or sometimes fragments of the same dream. So if you start that off by imagining meeting in a place that everybody's familiar with, that becomes more and more solid and real as you progress. And before you know it, you find yourself there and you have more and more memories of what exactly happened there in common with the other people who are doing it. And that's like a painless way to astrally project.
That sounds really cool. There's so many million methods to doing it. That's awesome.
Really have an interesting question for you, Sue.
Okay.
Knowing where you are today, do you think all the incidents that happened to you when you were growing up were preparing you to become the medium psychic that you are today?
I've been asked this question before, and I actually feel that your life is kind of like a never-ending story. And my a lot of my examples are food, but it's kind of like an ongoing cake recipe, or a stew or something. You add to it over the years, and it gets better and tastier and stuff like that. So all the things, and this is how I see it, all the things that happened in my life are ingredients to not only prepare me for being a psychic medium or being having experience to be able to help people that may have shared similar experiences as me, but also since my life is ongoing, I'm constantly preparing. All of us are constantly preparing for whatever else happens in the future. It never stops, and we're always a student and we're always a teacher.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That was powerfully said and very profound. Thank you.
Welcome.
Have you had other, as we've talked before, some people have had an array of experiences from childhood on. I mean, have you seen UFOs, strange lights in the sky? Have you had anything that you might consider an abduction experience or missing time? Have you seen something like maybe a cryptid or whatever? I mean, have you had an array of paranormal experiences throughout your life?
Yes, there was a time when I was upstairs in my bedroom and I was gonna go down to the kitchen, and within that second I was somehow in the kitchen. I'm not sure how I got there. I don't know if I blacked out and just kind of, subconsciously walked to the kitchen. I don't know what happened, but I thought that was weird. And I had similar incidents that happened like that throughout my life. Recently, a few years ago, I was in my kitchen and I was going to pour myself a glass of orange juice. And so I put the glass down on the countertop, and then I went to get the orange juice, and I came back and the glass was gone, and I was like, where'd it go? And so I looked around the house and I found out it was on the living room table with the orange juice already in it.
Oh.
Crazy stuff like that happens. Yeah. And have you guys ever had something like that happen? You put something down and then you look again and it's gone, and you find it somewhere else.
That's
Oh,
called that's called car keys.
That's called a
Or
senior moment.
sunglasses.
I have many senior moments. I don't think I'd
Yeah.
call it paranormal
Well,
though.
maybe you should put memory foam in your slippers so you can remember.
In European traditions, it's blamed on elves or others.
Ah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I've
fairies
had
too.
many senior moments myself. I'm a senior, and I had a senior moment in opening the show. But the missing things, yeah, that's happened so many times. Where something's there, you're looking right at where it is, and it's not there, and then later on you find that it's there where it should be. So my wife and I joke about that, about the elves came and hid my keys or whatever I'm looking for.
I always say I'm going to get my hands on that gremlin once and for all.
Just remember, Paul, don't put water on it after midnight.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, see, when that happens to me, I will usually out loud say, "All right, you've had your fun. Can you please bring it back?" And most of the time, whatever it is that's missing will show up, not where it originally was taken from, but it will show up, and usually in some place that there's no way it could have ended up there. The only thing, there was one time I had just gotten back from grocery shopping, and I had placed it was pomegranate juice that I bought specifically for myself in the refrigerator at this specific location, and then went and unpacked the rest of the groceries. And then a little bit later, I went back to get it, and it was gone. Looked everywhere. I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I didn't put it there. Looked everywhere, wasn't there. Later on that day, opened the refrigerator, there it was. Now my wife says, well, that's just man blindness, which I
Yes.
have. Yeah,
Male blindness, right.
Male blindness, yeah, which I do suffer from that, but I can assure you that wasn't the case. Now, what would have been fun, though that didn't happen, is if the pomegranate juice had been, half
Yes.
half consumed, but no, it was full.
Yeah. I had an incident where we came back from a store and I had bought 2 sleep pants. And I went to wash them, couldn't find them. 3 months later, I found them. In the room I was looking, but they were underneath like a jacket. Can't explain why my sleep shorts would be under a jacket.
They don't mess with me. They know I'd be too easy to mess with. So I'm not a challenge. But Sue, do you have do you pick up for lack of a better term, vibes on people? Do you are you sensitive to the way people are feeling or what's going on with them?
Yeah, I would assume everybody's good until I get close to them. Sometimes I can see the aura, and if it doesn't look right, I will back off. Um, it's not a guaranteed method. Some people may appear not so nice, turns out to be nice, and sometimes it's the other way around. But most of the time, I can tell. I can sniff things that are out of place, especially when they start talking to me. I can sniff when things are out of place, and usually I'll back off.
You're pretty good at judging character.
I think so. I would like to think I am.
Hey, Stu, this sounds like an elite military special ops, Shadow Works. You're involved with Shadow Works. Can you explain to the panel what that is?
Shadow Works. Shadow Works is when you look at your life, when you look at yourself, and you look at the things that happened in your life that are bothering you, that are there throughout your life growing up, and events that have happened, and they come up to the surface, And what you want to do is you want to be able to deal with some of the things that are in your past and take a look at it to clear the energy in order for yourself to feel more free and to be able to be aligned with your true self or what you're supposed to be doing with your life. And sometimes you can't be doing that when your shadows are following you. It's the same as baggage. And so when you have these things following you throughout your whole life, it can stop you from doing the things that you were meant to do. Like, for example, if somebody gives you an opportunity for a job, and if you say, well, I'm not good enough for that, I can't do it. Well, what things in your life that got you to have that attitude? Instead of, all right, let's go for it. You know, there's things in your life, there's baggage in your life that's gonna be there, that's gonna get you to make the decisions that you're making currently. And it can affect negatively on your life. So you want to clear your energy so that you can have the best life possible, whatever it may be. So as I mentioned before, there is such thing. For example, there's the round table version where you can sit with yourself and you can discuss anything that's bothering you. You can do the hallway meditation where it allows you to go into a hallway and there'll be doors throughout the hall, and you can pick a door that has to do with an event that you want to deal with in your life, and you play the event out, and you can talk to the people that were in that event. Say what you need to say. If you need to cuss at them, chew them out, or talk to them lovingly, whatever works for you, and then allow yourself to see how it plays out, to allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, and then you can talk to your old self that was there at the time of the event and talk to your old self, give your old self encouragement, love, give your old self a hug. And then when you're ready, you can leave the room and close the door. And if the door actually disappears, then that means the event is done. You cleared it and you can move on. There's methods for little things like if somebody mistreated you at the grocery store, for example.
You froze
And
up.
you can put all your anger into that cloud. You can put all your anger into the cloud. You can put, anything you need to say, any event that you need to do, and you can put all of it in there until it's full, and you can watch the cloud get darker and bigger, and then you can imagine it being pushed away by a wind. And notice that any worries or trauma or upsetness or things that are bothering you, you can see it grow distant.
Sue, I saw at one time Heather had her, uh, she unmuted. I think she had something to say. I'm not really sure. Heather?
I'm here. My internet's going crazy. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Okay. Um, Sue, so you basically talking about all these doors that are, that you open and you had maybe some problems, some issues, and somehow you cleanse this place and you close the doors, something like that?
Yeah, you are actually facing it. That's what shadow work is, just facing whatever that has bothered you, upset you, or, angered you, whatever it is in your past that's preventing you from doing the things that you need to do. Because you
I'll
don't want
be
to carry
closing.
baggage. Yeah,
I'll be closing a lot of doors in.
yeah. I have closed a lot of doors.
Except
I've opened a
the
lot
one
of
where
doors
your
too.
keys are.
Yeah.
You gotta find the keys first.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're on the other side of that shut door.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So it's sort of like using creative visualization in order to achieve an end.
Yeah, to a closure.
Okay.
And this allows you unlimited access to it because, for instance, if you had somebody that passed away and you didn't finish business with them or concluded business, or maybe there's an event that they wronged you, perhaps, and they passed away, so you never had a chance to talk to them, you can go into the room and talk to them about it. Deal with whatever you need to deal with. So it's a very powerful way to deal with the shadows that are in your life. And we call them shadows because they do follow you everywhere you go. They can be the dark side of you, negative side of you, but they can also be the side of you that just simply bothers you. It doesn't have to be so dark and evil or anything, but it's a part of your life that you should deal with or need to deal with or can deal with because it would help lighten your load so that you can do the things in your life and move forward with your current, self without having any of your past selves drag you.
So, do you help a lot of people with your mediumship?
Yeah,
You
I
do?
have people that call me and they have things that bother them, even just small stuff like Karen's bugging them, and I help them deal with that. And there's different types of meditations for the short term small stuff, and then there's different methods for maybe the bigger stuff, and usually they'll always for the bigger stuff.
What do you do when, like, someone comes up to you and say, "Hey, I have a demon in my house. I feel like my little daughter's possessed." I mean, I had situations like that. Do you get a lot of demonic cases?
I only had a couple where I could actually remote view and go inside the person and make a portal and pull the demons out in there, and then you close it, and it clears the person, and then you would have to sage the house. You would have to, make sure all the portals are closed in the house because they will come in. Here's a big pro tip: we create portals all the time. If you have a dishwasher, that's a portal. You flush the toilet, that's a portal. Drain water in a sink, that's a portal. You're actually making portals and they can come through it. You watching paranormal videos on your phone, it's a portal for certain entities to come through the phone. Um, so your phone's a portal, your mirror's a portal. So I teach people how to lock their mirrors, how to sage. Every time you do the dishwasher, you should sage the area and tell everyone to get out. So yeah. So clearing areas, clearing spaces is very important to minimizing demon damage. It's absolutely unavoidable for them to come in your house completely. We've all tried it. Um, but we
So,
can minimize.
so basically, if I go on the computer, I can create a portal. Is that correct?
Yeah, portal is created by computer, and what you watch and what you put through, it can come through into your home.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
that's kind of the point of when you watch paranormal videos, you have to be careful. You can put a shield on your screen, like you're watching on your phone or your computer. You put a shield around it, and you can stage the area to minimize of them possibly coming through. But especially if you watch videos of like old hospitals and things like that, you could possibly be bringing them in. They can go through computer screens, and I've had instances where they did it. I'm actually dealing with one now that refused to leave. I think he finally left before I came on. So, um, it was messing around with the lights behind me. So, yeah, they will come in. And sometimes the curiosity gets the best of me, and I will watch a paranormal video because I'm curious about something, and then something happens. I'm like, oh, great. So it takes a lot of work to get them out sometimes because they're not willing to go easily.
Hmm.
So, Sue, being a medium, has that strengthened, changed, or altered your viewpoint of an afterlife? And if so, how?
I don't know because I think the afterlife is not a one size fits all. I think it depending on the afterlife, in my opinion, is what I believe. I believe that it has to do with your beliefs of what you think the afterlife is. So if you want to ascend, you'll ascend. If you want to end up in heaven, you'll go to heaven. If you want to reincarnate, you'll reincarnate. Um, I don't I don't know too much about the afterlife to be honest. However, I know that there are so many different situations and so many different types of realms and dimensions we're dealing with those two things put together, and then what the person believes or want to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And the technique that you shared earlier, where you can talk to people from your past, uh, a variation of that technique was called by Jung active imagination. And you can use it for the purposes that you described, and also to talk to dream characters. So if you have dreams and you don't understand what the dream's trying to tell you, you can sit at a table with dream characters and ask them, what they were trying to communicate, and they will communicate with you what they were trying to communicate. It becomes more powerful the more time you do it, because you develop a belief in it, a faith in it, and it delivers.
Are there certain times of year and month that's best?
It depends on the individual. I believe, like you, that it's all a matter of belief. If you have a belief in something, then the universe will communicate with you in a way that you'll listen. So they'll often use your beliefs about afterlife and spirits and the different types of spirits, and whether the spirits come from Mount Olympus or outer space, or an ancient culture, or if they're theosophical masters. That those are all masks, but not to deceive you, but to better communicate with you and give you an idea of the nature of the entity that you're dealing with.
Okay, thank you. That's a wonderful perspective.
Thanks.
Sue, what's your thoughts on Ouija boards and tarot cards and stuff like that?
They are used as tools, although I would be cautious on how to use them unless you know what you're doing. There are classes for those sort of things. A lot of times people mess with whether they use crystals, whether they use portals, whether they use Ouija boards, tarot cards. Tarot cards give you glimpses. They're not exact defined because your life constantly alters. So it's kind of like expecting the bee to fly in a straight path and always go from point A to point B the same way every day. It flows, it moves up, it moves down. Air's the same way, it flows, it moves up, it moves down, left and right. And so our life is like that. So just because the cards will tell you something right at that moment doesn't mean that it can't change within that same second. So because we live the past, present, and the future all at once, it can give you signposts. And all of these things like Ouija boards, tarot card readings, even using the pendulum to ask yes or no question, or the dowsing rod, all of these are meant to be more of signpost, but it's really all up to you what you want to do with it, because if you want a specific outcome, then your next things to do is to manifest that outcome by playing through your head of how you want to do it, and then believe that you already have it. If you want to use it to possibly communicate with loved ones, and you can, there's always those possibilities. But again, you have to know what you're doing, and you have to make sure you clear the space in a positive alignment, because sometimes there's demons and there's spirits out there that can trick you into thinking that you're talking to your loved one just to manipulate you. So you have to be careful with those things.
So there is a trickster aspect you have to be wary of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Tim Swartz dealt with that when he came out with a book called Mimics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're talking about the Ouija board, and I always tell people who ask me about, whether or not I think it's a good or bad idea to use the Ouija board. And, I said, well, most of the time it's just your own, subconscious kind of playing itself out. However, you can also contact discarnate spirits with that, but never the ones that you think that you're trying to contact. And I use the example, you can't pick up your telephone and dial a random number and expect to get your grandmother on the other end. And it's the same way with the Ouija board. You're not going to get your grandmother by just saying, Grandma, come and talk to us. No, you're going to get some stranger who, is going to play tricks on you.
Yep.
Or
And
you
you'll
can
all
get
find
somebody else's grandma.
Yeah, excellent book, by the way.
Oh,
you'll
thank
find
you.
it right here in this book there, Sue. This mimics the others amongst us. And there's a lot of good examples in here. Some strange ones where a child is sitting by the lake by himself, and he hears what it sounds like his mother telling him to come here, and then he just vanishes. I mean, just weird stuff.
Sue, I have a question with your abilities. Do you have any sense of things like if Bigfoot is a real entity, or some of the mysteries that we talk about all the time? Do you ever get a sense of what's true and not true about some of these mysteries with your abilities?
Well, Bigfoot's real, naturally. And, they're actually a race that's more advanced than, what we are at the very moment. I mean, actually, we're 1,000 years out of alignment. And
Hmm.
that was intentional. But Bigfoot's real. And the reason why you can't get a perfectly clear picture is because their vibration level is different than ours. But they do have their own shipyards. They do fly in space, and people would look at me crazy. And I said, "Well, what do you think they got Chewbacca from Star Wars?" So they do fly. Um, they do live in an alternate, I guess, realm or reality. They do have portals. If you see these orange lights appear. They're on top of each other. There's like two orange lights. That's their portal opening up. Um, I have personally have seen shadows. I don't know if they're Bigfoot or not. I don't see very far. Um, but I know they're out there. I've seen too many cases. Isetti is actually a good place that you can go to meet with Bigfoot, possibly. There are different hot spots that you can meet them. But they usually don't always appreciate being treated in a more of a spectacle way. Like you go, oh, Bigfoot, and you take out your camera and you want to take pictures. Most of the time, they'd rather be treated the way we treat each other. We say hello, we're nice to each other. We don't always just take out a camera on each other, go, oh, another human, I gotta film ya, you know. So it all depends on the vibration and the attitude that you bring that would possibly get them to interact with you.
It's kind of funny about Bigfoot. Um, I remember when Robert Bigelow was had a team over there at Skinwalker Ranch, and one of the scientists claims that he saw a portal open up in the sky, and
Right.
from that portal, a Bigfoot jumped out and ran off. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of interesting.
And it looked like it was trying to elbow its way through this narrow tunnel. The guy, they was watching it through a night vision goggles. And the guy really freaked out because this thing stepped out and then just kind of walked away. And I thought, man, oh man. Yeah, I wonder, so what it would be like if you were in some of these alleged high strangeness areas, like the Skinwalker Ranch, or even Lee Hample has a farm near Elkhorn, Wisconsin, where the dog man has been seen and all kinds of strange things in the sky. He's documented hundreds of photographs of with trap cameras of just all kinds of bizarre phenomena out there. He's experienced missing time himself. He is seeing these creatures, but I just wonder what again for someone of your sensitivity, what it would be like for you to be actually walking on that turf and experiencing everything.
It would probably be, I'm going to take a guess. It would probably be the psychic version of being in a very loud room. Only instead of volume, it's sensitivity of nerves and things. Because in like Skinwalker Ranch, for example, there are so many different beings. Not all of them are good, but there are lots of beings there, lots of entities. So I've never been there, but we have all kinds of different things that go on here at my house. I've seen things between fairies. I've seen shadows that walk across. I've seen things that move. out of nowhere. It just depends. But I was told from somebody who's another psychic, I believe, in my opinion, stronger psychic, that if you were able to open up all the dimensions in your mind, in your third eye, if you were able to see all the levels of dimension, densities, and everything, you would realize how full your house actually is. They're all of the walls, they're flying in the air, they're everywhere. You would realize how busy it is. It would be packed looking. So it's kind of actually good that you don't see everything all at once. It would overwhelm you like crazy.
There's definitely no danger of that happening to me. I'm about as dense as they come when it comes to this sort of thing. So I'm perfectly safe, I think.
And
Well, with that statement though, do you have trouble in some locations, say like a hospital? That's the best one I can think of. That can be really overwhelming to your senses.
It is. I avoid hospitals for a reason.
And why is that?
Because I can feel the energies in the hospital. Because they talk about when you're in a hospital, you're supposed to try to put yourself in as much positive attitude you can in order to be able to heal. And it's kind of hard to do that when you have all kinds of entities coming at you, all kinds of feelings, emotions. It's kind of like if you've ever been in, like, if you've ever come into a room after a couple just got done arguing very heavily, very bitterly, and even though they stopped arguing when you enter the room, but you could still feel that energy.
negative energy.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Sue, that's amazing you say that because one story that I heard about, it happened in Chicago, Illinois in 1974. This couple lived in this house, and I think I told Tim this, but anyway, the couple would see this man manifest and walk over to the couch, and a woman would manifest. She would appear, and he was slapping her, and then they dissipate, and then they disappear. Well, they went to a block party, and the host was showing them this photo album. He goes, "Yeah, we do this every year." And she was like looking at the pictures, and she saw this one picture, and she goes, "Oh my God, that's the ghost in my house." And the host goes, "Ghost? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, they lived in your house. They had domestic disputes. The cops were there all the time. They got a divorce. He moved like 5 blocks down the road, and she moved out of state. But they're not ghosts; they're still alive. That negative energy impacted the atmosphere so strong that it replays itself, residual energy replaying itself over and over again." And I'm getting the movement from Hercules that this show is almost over with.
Got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes. Okay, cool. Oh, and then and Sue, before we go, I want you to tell the audience how they can contact you and all that other stuff. I went to not Skinwalker Ranch, but the valley where Skinwalker Ranch is. And that place is crazy because we went there during a storm, and I believe that what I saw was ball lightning, and when it hit the ground, it blew up into sparks. I saw that, and also too, I heard this screeching noise that I was unfamiliar with. Um, we were supposed to spend 5 days in that valley, but we had to leave the next day because one of my investigators had pneumonia. So back to California. But yeah, that is one strange place. Sue, you were wonderful. How can people reach you, contact you if they need help? Work? How can they get a hold of you?
well, quick fun fact, if you ever see lightning in the sky, but you don't hear thunder following it, then those are ships fighting, and they use the clouds to cover it and hide it. Fun fact. Okay, to get a hold of me, you can find me on Facebook under Soo McClure, SOOMCCLURE. I'm also on Twitter, same name, and I'm also on Instagram You can message me on Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger or the Twitter Messenger or X Twitter. That's the best way to get a hold of me. My email is SooLightworker, SOOLIGHT worker, WORKER, and that's at gmail.com.
Fantastic. And Tim, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, sure. Well, probably the best way, if you want to read my books, is you can find them all on Amazon.com or sometimes at your favorite local bookstore and library. And please patronize both. Very important, in my opinion. Just type in my name, Tim R. Swartz, and they'll all come tumbling out for your reading pleasure. Our most recent book is called Weird Time, Exploring the Mysteries of Time and Space. And we've got a new one coming out that Paul, Hercules, and I think that's it in this group. Maybe next time we'll get Steve to join us. And that one is going to be about ghosts and hauntings, hopefully coming out soon.
Excellent.
Fantastic. And Michael?
Yes, as with Tim, my books are available at Amazon, and I can be found on Facebook or X, and if you just look up Michael Kopf, you'll find me. And if you can't find me there, just wait. I'll be on another show, and we'll be able to connect then.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. Steve.
Yes, Steve Ward on Facebook. Type in Point Pleasant, you'll find me. Stop by Saturday afternoons at the Mothman Museum, and I'll escort you around the Mothman statue and show you the secret of the Mothman statue, which of course is the shiny hiney. We have a great museum. I have the book out with Mark Randall. It covers the year of the Garuda, the year of the Mothman, and Mark is a great graphic artist. Check out the High Strangeness Factor on the Paranormal UK Radio Network, and I guess that's about it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. And last but not least, Hercules.
Thank you very much. I can be reached on Facebook. I can be reached on YouTube. Just type in Hercules Invictus. And my books are also available through Amazon and fine booksellers everywhere in libraries. And the last book that I was in that came out is Theurgy with Llewellyn Worldwide. And the next book I have coming out is the Ghost book that Tim published. So
soon to be published. Yeah.
And I'm starting a few new shows this year. So all of you expect to be invited because you all touched upon points that I'd like to further explore and touch upon in my podcasts.
Fantastic.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
been a pleasure, Sue.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Sue.
Yeah.
Your interview was just fantastic.
You forgot someone, Paul.
Heather, is she back?
No, you forgot yourself. How can people find you?
Oh, yeah.
He can't find his keys. What do you want?
You're looking for those keys.
And I should say that he can't find his keys. I can never find my keys.
But real simple. Google or Bing me Paul Dale Roberts. If you want to see some of my books, Paul Dale Roberts books, and they're out there.
And all worth reading too.
Yeah. And how many more minutes we got here?
I'm sorry.
Hercules?
He's looking.
Oh.
How long do we have, Hercules?
3 minutes.
There.
3 minutes. Oh my God. Does anybody have anything to say in 3 minutes? Any good jokes? Anything?
Does it have to be profound?
Yeah.
Well, I have a question real quick for Sue. Sue,
Okay.
When you are astral projecting, considering your eyesight in the physical, how does it look when you? What does it look like when you astral project?
It's if it's during the daytime, everything looks opaque. If it's in the nighttime, it's pretty much the same as wearing sunglasses. If you were to decide to wear the heaviest sunglasses at night, and you'll only mostly see like porch lights, which is probably why I'm drawn to it, or the street lights and things like that, or the backlights of people's cars and stuff like that. It looks very, very dark for me anyway at nighttime.
All right, that's my question.
Sue,
Well, I'd like
is
to
there-
say it's been nice to be here with everybody tonight.
Thank
But
you.
what a really good time.
Thank you
Thanks for having me,
me.
Paul.
Oh, yes, absolutely, Steve.
Yeah, Sue, real quick, is there anywhere that you would like to see on the astral, like Paris or anywhere? Or do you just like to stay in your little neighborhood?
Usually I stay in my little neighborhood. I don't think I've traveled too far before. If some people know the St. Louis area, I've traveled like in the Kings Highway area. But I think that's as far as I've strayed.
You know, and some people that astral project, they say that they travel to the moon. They've seen
Yeah.
alien bases on the moon on the dark side. Went as far as Mars, even further than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was able to astral project, I would definitely check out the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'd probably end up in Dubuque or
That's
something
no
like that.
moon, it's a space station.
You know, you're not that far from reality there, Sue.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And the next series that I've planned is actually called Otherworld Adventures, and it's going to be about adventure on the astral plane in different ways. I started the series in one of the books that I published with the Tims. I believe it was still with Tim Beckley's publishing house, but I talked about the astral real estate around New York City and the New York metropolitan area and traveling there. And I've held numerous groups on that topic, and they were all experiential. So I'm going to be taking an approach that kind of combines those paths with the new show. So if you guys want to participate in that, we'll be looking at dreams and other ways of remembering astral projection and trying out
That'd be
different
cool.
techniques from episode to episode. So you're all welcome to participate.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, count me in.
Yeah,
Thank
looking forward
Thank
to
you,
it.
everybody, and have a wonderful evening, and may this new year treat you wonderfully.
Thank you very much. Send me the link so I can share it.
It will be up by tonight.
Okay.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks,
Her-
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.